Alright, so before we get into the video, we're going to be talking about the Cannoneer versus Kelvin Gosselin post-fight review. So Cannoneer defeats Kelvin Gosselin by unanimous decision, and my thoughts on it, I really wasn't paying attention to this fight, because of the Manny Pacquiao versus Ugas fight, so I wasn't really paying attention to it, but I was glancing at it, and it did look like Cannoneer was winning most of the fight. He was I would say like Kelvin Gosselin probably won maybe one round, but mainly Cannoneer was probably dominating this fight. But good job to Cannoneer. I still don't think he'll beat any. I still don't think he'll beat any of the top guys. Like if you wanted to have a rematch with like Robert Whittaker, I think he would lose that. I don't think he would beat somebody like a Marvin Vettori or like a Paulo Costa, and for sure not a Israel Adesanya. I do think all those guys would smoke Cannoneer, but Cannoneer did show that he was very dominant. But a good win for Cannoneer, and on to the video. Hey, what's up, y'all? Preston from Fight Media 360 here. So this is a quick preview and prediction for Montana Love versus Ivan Baranchyk. So before we get into all this, I just want to say this fight will be taking place on Sunday, August the 29th, and this will be on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. So this will be, if you want to watch this will be on pay-per-view. And again, if you want to watch this, you can pay for it on cable, or if you have cable, or you can pay for it on Fight TV. I do prefer to pay for it on Fight TV, but that's just me. So now we got that out the way. So now I'll talk about their stats. Yes, their stats, and then the odds, and then what they need to do to win, and then my final prediction. So let's start off with Montana Love. Montana Love has a record of 15 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw, 7 wins coming by way of knockout. He stands at a height of 5'8" with the 68.5-inch reach, and he is a southpaw. Now for Ivan Baranchik. So Ivan Baranchik has a record of 20 wins, 2 losses, 0 draws, 13 wins coming by way of knockout. He stands at a height of 5'8" with the 67-inch reach, and he is a orthodox fighter. Ivan Baranchyk is listed as a 220 favorite over Montana Love. So now we got that out the way, so now I'll talk about what they need to do to win, and then my final prediction. So let's start off with the slight underdog, Montana Love. So what I would like to see from Montana Love is I would like to see him kind of stick with this jab more. He does like to use his jab quite often. There isn't that much footage on him on YouTube, but in sparring, he does like to use the jab. But he does struggle against people who do put on the pressure, and he does kind of panic, and he doesn't really have that much game plans besides to box. So he needs to have different game plans, because in this fight against Ivan Baranchyk, he is definitely gonna be forced to fight, because Ivan Baranchyk is a guy that likes to put on the pressure, and he has to either fight with them, or fight with them at distance and then move away, and then you can stick with your boxing or something like that. But you can't just stand there with Ivan, because then if you're just gonna stand there and just let Ivan Baranchyk beat you in the inside, that's when you're gonna start losing on points, because on the other hand, because he doesn't have a lot of power, he does only have 7 knockouts out of his 15 out of 16 fights. So he doesn't have that much power, and Ivan Baranchyk is known to have power. So he definitely needs to I would prefer him to fight with Baranchyk, but then move out the way, use your jab and be the quicker man in this fight, because you don't want to stand in one spot against Baranchyk. Because that's what Jose Zepeda did against him. Even though Zepeda didn't knock him out, he was standing in one spot, and then he kept getting dropped by Ivan Baranchyk. So, but on the other hand, you're not Jose Cepeda. Jose Cepeda has a lot more power. So you have to move your feet a lot more in this fight and pretty much just try to like be aggressive but then move out the way and then kind of like do that and use your cardio over Ivan Baranchyk. Even though both of them have good cardio, but you can slow him down with your speed and, you know, kind of like tire him out with, like, you know, body shots and kind of like slow him down by doing that. So that's what Montana Love needs to do to win. So now for Ivan Baranchik. So what I'd like to see from Ivan Baranchik is I would like to see him put on the pressure against Montana Love. Because just like what I said, Montana Love isn't good against people who put on the pressure. It's showing sparring. I know sparring is a lot different, but it will show what will happen when somebody like exposes your like weaknesses. And his weakness is when people like to push forward and put on the pressure. And a lot of people did do that against him, even in some of his fights, even though there's not a lot of footage. You know, there was somebody that did do that to him. I don't know his name, but then he was struggling. He did get the unanimous decision, but he was struggling. And he was struggling against Gervonta in sparring. I know it's Gervonta Davis, but on the other hand, you are a lot bigger than Gervonta, and you should like try to stick with your boxing. And you can't just do what he did against Gervonta in sparring and just stand in one spot, not stand in one spot, but you know, kind of like just curl up and let Ivan Baranchyk break you down, because that's what Ivan Baranchyk is really good at, is slowing you down, hitting you with really good body shots, because Ivan Baranchyk is a pretty decent body puncher. He doesn't go to the body a whole lot, but when he does, it's pretty good, you know, pretty powerful, does throw some good combos to the body, you know. So that's what he can't do. But back to Ivan Baranchyk. I kind of got mixed up because, you know, I thought it was, you know, but Ivan Baranchyk really needs to put on the pressure, because on the other hand, Montana Love, again, he struggles against guys who like to put on the pressure. So you definitely need to put on the pressure, but kind of like to be close up to him and kind of like throw those shots, but or you could just kind of do what like kind of like what Brandon Figueroa does. You know, he kind of like, you know, pressure fights from like kind of like in like I was closer than mid range, but I would say like the pressure fight from mid range, because because I believe that Montana does have a shorter reach, so you definitely need to kind of like punch in and try to make Montana uncomfortable by pressure fighting him and just beating him down with body shots and shots to the head. So that's what Ivan Baranchik needs to do to win. So yeah. So my final prediction for this fight, dude, this is a good fight. This is a good fight. This is probably one of the best fights on the card besides Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. This is a good fight, but if I would have to pick one, I'd probably lean more towards Ivan Baranchyk by a split decision. If they weren't in Cleveland, Ohio, I would probably say by unanimous. But since, you know, Baranchyk isn't really known to fight on Showtime, you know, and since they're in Cleveland, they are going to kind of give Montana some love. But I don't see Montana winning. If he can like move his feet around a little more instead of just doing a jab, then he has a good chance. But I just think, but on the just like what I said, Montana does struggle against people who put on the pressure, and he's finding a guy that does that all the time and throws hard punches. And when that happens, it really favors Ivan Baranchyk. I just think I think it's gonna be a good fight. I do think Montana is gonna have some success at first, but I just think that once I think that once Ivan Baranchyk gets through the jab and gets used to the movement of Montana, that's when he will start dominating the fight. And I do think it'll be like a 9 rounds to 3 or a 10 rounds to 2 type of fight. But on the other hand, they are in Cleveland, so they are gonna give Montana Love some respect. So that's why I pick Ivan Baranchyk to win this fight by a split decision. So yeah. So that's my final prediction. I got Ivan Baranchyk by a split decision. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm Preston from Fight Media 360, and thank y'all for watching this video.